Bonjour à tous, Indian Cinema Events est ravi de vous avoir avec nous aujourd'hui avec ces formidables médecins que nous avons d'un peu partout dans le monde, d'Angleterre, de l'Inde et puis bien sûr de Paris, Dr Martin Blachier avec nous, Dr Sarika Verma de l'Inde, Dr Mohan Kumar, Dr Amarinder Singh Malhi et puis d'Angleterre, nous avons Dr Asad. Je passerai en anglais, mais c'est important pour nous de le dire, nous sommes une association de cinéma. Et on est venu aider, bien sûr, pendant la pandémie, on était sensible au fait que en Inde, il y avait cette vague qui arrivait, ils avaient besoin d'aide pour les patients. Donc, avec l'association, nous avons proposé de joindre des médecins en France et en Inde et de pouvoir aider des patients. Nous avons également amené des célébrités, puisque nous travaillons dans le cinéma, à pouvoir soutenir, apporter leur soutien aux médecins. On a des cas de violence en Inde par rapport aux médecins, donc c'était important pour nous d'amener ces voix pour les médecins en Inde. Et là, nous lançons quelques discussions informelles avec des médecins un peu partout dans le monde. C'est difficile puisque ce n'est pas notre domaine, mais nous essayons de faire comme nous pouvons. Et nous sommes ravis que vous suivez puisque tout ça, c'est important. Covid n'est pas fini, ce n'est pas terminé, donc c'est très important. I'm just quickly switching to English. So I'm delighted to have everyone here. Indian Cinema Events is absolutely delighted to do this because we've seen all the waves. We've everywhere in the world been through these different situations. It's really hard for everyone. In India, it's been very, very hard. And for us being Indian Cinema Events, we couldn't sit there and just watch this happen. We've had COVID ourselves, and it was important for us to get everyone together and try to do something. So on our side, we said we needed to contact doctors from France and from India to be able to assist patients. We've been doing it for one whole year, helping patients, all sorts of patients every day, every hour of day and night. And I'm very grateful to the doctors who came and joined us. The second thing we've done is get Indian celebrities, filmmakers, actors, producers to come join the movement, support doctors. We've had cases of violence in India, and it's been very important for us to, be there because these doctors are heroes worldwide. They're carrying every single country, and all of us as a population, as citizens, need to absolutely stand by them till this pandemic gets over. And so all of us are responsible and everyone can do something. We're trying on our side, and I hope really that you will try, that you will wear your masks, that you will do everything and follow the rules. Thanks very much. So let me just introduce our doctors. We have Dr. Martin Blachier, who's from France, an epidemiologist, public health specialist, who's been extremely active. And we've seen him in the press and media. So he's obviously there. It was important in March when a lot of people got COVID and we had no information, to see all these doctors inform us, reassure us, give advice, be extremely present so that the population was reassured. We also have Dr. Asad Khan, respiratory medicine, critical care, Manchester Hospital. And it's important for us because Dr. Khan is also suffering from long COVID. So it's important for us to start with him. And he explains his situation, how hard it's been. It's not a joke. It's really, really hard. And it's important for that reason to wear the mask, to follow the rules, and to be extremely careful. We have also Dr. Sarika Verma with us, ENT surgeon, allergy specialist from Delhi. She's an environmentalist, very important for me as well. I'm just doing a little parenthesis. She's an environmentalist, and that is how I got in touch with her. She's working with a friend of mine who has an association with plants and trees in Delhi. This year, in official selection, in Cannes Film Festival, which is on the 6th of July, we have a special section, new section at Cannes Film Festival, which is going to be with environment. And Cannes has never done this before. And there is a film in official selection, and it's about Delhi, and it's about pollution. So this was really important, Dr. Verma. I thought of you, and this aspect of what you're doing is really important. You're also a spokesperson at AAP Party, which is linked to the Chief Minister of Delhi, Mr. Kejriwal. You started a petition asking Prime Minister Modi to take strict action against those who attack doctors. Over 220,000 people signed your petition. Congratulations. This was a beautiful move. But doctors are still having problems with violence, and that's really important. Dr. Amarinder Singh, Malhi, is an assistant professor, Department of Cardiac Radiology, ex-president of the Resident Doctors Association at the prestigious All India Medical Institute in Delhi. So this is India's top institution that offers medical training, research, hospital networks in different cities across the country. And then we've got Dr. Mohan Kumar, who is a senior epidemiologist. Thank you so much for joining us. A faculty with, the India EIS program at ICMR, which is the National Institute of Epidemiology in Chennai, anciently known as Madras. So it's really important for us to have all of you tell us about your experiences. Dr. Amarinder Malhi, what have you seen in Delhi, being at AIIMS, and which is really big, which is a very, very big hospital. What has been your experience in these two waves?
The thing is, as we all know that All India Institute of Medical Sciences, New Delhi, is in the center of the Delhi, and right now at least 22 All India Institute of Medical Sciences have been there across India, right? So we are building lots of buildings, but lots of doctors are also there in those buildings. The thing is, we are covering each and every state of India by building lots of All India Institute of Medical Sciences across the country. What we have seen in these two waves is, in first wave, most of the patients which are coming to the hospital, they are more than basically old age people having comorbid conditions like diabetes, hypertension, coronary artery disease, chronic lung disease. So these patients are the bulk. They are in bulk in that period, in the first wave. But in the second wave, we have seen lots of. But in the second wave, what we have seen is lots of. You can see lots of people. They are roaming here and there, demanding for beds, for oxygen, for steroids, for any medication which is related to the COVID. And in this in the second wave, no age bar is. So we have got all age groups included in this second wave. Either it is newborn, or it is an infant, or it is 14-year-old, or it is adult, or it is old age, or any. So in second wave, every individual you can say it hit by the second wave, which is a very dreadful wave according to us, and we never thought of it. But yes, there are rumors that it will come, but it will come in this fashion. It is very horrible and dreadful situation. We have at least for 3 or 4 weeks, you can say, we have seen so much patients trying for even basic medicine like paracetamol. So we have seen very dreadful situation at that time, or lots of calls. We want bed, we want this, we want this. So at that time, it is we are very helpful at that particular time. You can say 14 to 21 days. It is very dreadful situation for all of us. But we overcome it. We stayed there. We are doing and helping the patients in spite of the lesser infrastructure in our country. It's just GDP is merely 1.28% for the health, and still we are managing with this lowest GDP. And I salute to each and every healthcare worker, either it is doctor, it is nursing staff, it is paramedical staff, or security person who are helping the patients either in any form. So it is very dreadful situation in the second wave. But yes, now everyone is aware. From second wave, I think it is the end of the second wave in India. But yes, we have to be very cautious about the COVID appropriate behavior, which we are still not following. In India, one survey has been done by the ICMR and Niti Yog. They are telling that still 50% are not wearing masks, and out of the 50% which are wearing the mask, 64% they are wearing in wrong fashion. Either they are not covering the nose, either they are not covering the mouth, or either they are hanging the mask in the chin, or it is hanging in the one. It is hanging anywhere. So the thing is, they are not following the COVID appropriate norms. So one is mask, second is social distancing. They are going again. We are seeing right now, as the unlocking has been started in various states. Almost every state is unlocking right now, and except Kerala, still the cases are coming down. Lots of people are now in a relaxing mood again, just like between the first and second wave. Now they are in relaxing phase again. Again, people are not wearing masks, not doing social distancing, not hygienic conditions are even not good. So again, maybe in August or September, the third wave can come. It is the only way we can prevent this wave is by following the COVID appropriate behavior, and we have to vaccinate our population. At least 70% of the population we have to vaccinate, so that it will have a herd immunity which can safeguard every individual of our country.
Dr. Blachier, when you hear this, what do you feel? Is there something you can compare with France? Because every time we had a wave, we opened up. But in France, I feel we were careful. The culture, the cinemas, concerts did not open after October. Till June, nothing opened in terms of culture. What do you feel? Is India going too fast?
We had this situation during the summer. Everyone thought that the pandemic was over because there was no case anymore. No, the hospital were empty, and everything that it's over. It's just one wave, and it's man is like that. When the situation, the critical situation is over, everything. No one can imagine that it will come again, and at the end of the summer, it rise a little, like few cases, but not something very critical. And at the end of October, we have a very important wave and a total lockdown. And after this second wave, we didn't open again the society, and we still maintain the reproduction rate around 1 to stay stable. But the society was still quite close. And France went through that crisis. All the winter we are quite everything was closed, and we just work at home with the home office, and all the cultural event was closed, and nothing really works. And it's only now with the arrival of the summer that the pandemic decreased a lot. And like the previous summer, that we open everything, and now we live like normal. And everyone thinks that it's because of the vaccine, but we know that it's because of the summer. Because in France, we have very different situation in summer or in winter. And you can see in Australia, for example, because it's the beginning of the winter, you still have new cases in Australia, and it's more difficult to control. And that's what's going to happen in France. And in France, this pandemic is in summer, everything is okay, and everyone thinks it's over. And during the winter, it's very complicated, and everything try to live differently, to control the pandemic risk, and to stay exactly on the line to prevent the new wave. And the big question for all the countries in Europe is what's going to happen next winter. Can we consider that with 60% of people vaccinated, we can prevent the new wave? And all calculations say that we can't prevent the new wave because there's still 30 or 40% of the population that is not vaccinated. So we're going to have problem in September or in October. But in the population, no one believes in that. They still believe that every summer there's a kind of miracle. The pandemic is over. And we know that in September and in October, we have new cases. At the beginning, oh, it's only new case. And after the end of October, it's beginning to increase very strongly. And now we will have exactly the same reaction. We are going to close the shop, to close the theater, to close the cinema, to ask people not going to work, and to do home office and so on. So you have two solutions. You can ask everyone to get the vaccine, like a kind of obligation, but no country want to make the vaccine mandatory. But in France, we have the dose. You can consider that we try to cancel some amount of vaccine because they are over, because we can't follow. We have the deliverable of vaccine, and we have people, but there is no more people who want to have the vaccine. And the other solution is to test all the people that are not vaccinated, like every 3 days. But you can imagine how complicated it is to test each people not vaccinated every 3 days. So we are still in this kind of mindset. So we don't want to make the vaccine mandatory, and we don't know exactly what's going to happen in October. And we bought a lot of tests, of rapid tests, lateral flow rapid tests, and we try to use and the government think that in October they're going to use the vaccinal passport, and probably this passport is going to be used much more in October to try to control the new wave, but we don't know if we can succeed with that or not. But it's always the same. In summer, everyone wants to forget and just wait for the new wave. It's crazy, but it's like that.
Dr. Martin, I wanted to ask you a question. So considering that, do you really think it is the new mutation of the virus that has caused the problem, the next waves, or it is the season? Because in India, up till March, we've had less than 6,000 cases in the entire country. And in summer, in the middle of summer, when our temperatures went up to 42 degrees, our cases went through the roof. And, at one point, we had like few lakh cases a day, more than 4 lakh. And I think we stopped testing beyond 4 lakhs. That was our capacity. So do you really think it is to do with the weather or the temperature or the season, or it is to do with the kind of mutation of the virus?
It's a good question. No one knows exactly the characteristic of this new variant. What we see in France, if you look at the curve during the summer period and the winter period, you have totally different things. And the only period where the curve is very down is from May to October. And between May and October, we live totally freely. No mask, we go to the restaurant, we make party, everyone go to vacation, everybody is okay. And during the winter, everyone stay at home, and you have the curve is very high. So, and regardless the UK variant, the Delta variant, here in France, we have Delta variant. We have more than 20% of Delta variant. Nothing happened. You have only a few cases. Even in the UK, they say, oh, you have new infection, but no more, like 2,000 per day. During the winter, we had crazily like 20,000, 30,000 cases per day without the Delta variant. So our understanding of the variant phenomenon is that the variant can take the advantage when the pandemic is in a herb period. It's the variant who emerged from a wave, and it's not the variant who create the wave. So because you have a lot of infection, you can select a variant, and this variant is stronger than the other because it's the kind of the winner of the competition. But it's not the variant who create the wave. In our position, it's the wave who make the variant emerging. And that's what happened in India. You had a wave because you have a lot of religious ceremonies and everyone live normally and a very good party. And because it creates a kind of dynamic, you make this variant emerging. And because you create the condition for this variant to emerge, you create a variant stronger than any other variant in the world. So this variant is a kind of the stronger one, can spread in the rest of the world. But that's not because we had this variant that the situation is out of control in Europe, because in Europe we don't have an important, we don't have a wave now. In France, but you have some country in Europe that you don't have a high rate of vaccine. And still there is no wave. So really my opinion is that the variant is more a marker of the dynamic of the circulation of the virus than the cause of the wave. And it's always like that. Even in, you can see the situation with the UK variant. It's because there was a crazily wave in UK because Boris Johnson reopened all the pubs and all the stadium and everyone go to the office. It create a wave, and from this wave there is the Kent variant that emerged from this wave. And each country, and even in Brazil, and because the government it's crazy for the government to say I reopen everything, and they prefer to say no, it's because of the variant. This horrible variant created this wave in India. It's because of this variant. If there was not this variant, nothing happened. But if you look at in every country, when you reopen everything, it creates a wave. And now we look at the genome of the virus. So each time we find a variant that emerged from this wave. So the Delta, we talk a lot about the Delta variant because it's a simple explanation, you know, because it's simple, a new variant, a wave, and now all the people close the frontier, the border because of the variant, and it makes a lot of mess. But it's not the question. The question is how you live with the virus, how you vaccine your population, how you understand the circumstance of contamination. That's the way to control. But what do you want to do with the variant? You can do anything. You can follow the variant everywhere. So I saw the variant there, so I got to close all this department and so on. It has no sense. So in my opinion, what we have to do is to be very practical, to control the behavior of the population, to test massively the population, and to vaccine the population. And forget about the variant. The variant is not your problem. Your problem is the behavior of the population, the seasonality of the virus, and the vaccination campaign.
Dr. Mohan Kumar, what is your situation, your experience with all this? Do you completely agree with Dr. Blachier? How do you see this in India? Because there's, I mean, in France is extremely, hello, Geetanjali. How are you? Okay, let me just introduce you to Geetanjali. I'll come back to that. So Geetanjali Srivastava is Senior Consultant, Anaesthesia and Critical Care at JNU Hospital in Jaipur. So she's right in the middle of the units that are super important with all the critical, you know, care and patients, and she's been doing photos from the ICU and sending them to me, and it's unbelievable how hard it must be. You told me some of your situations and things about that. I'm just coming back to you, Geetanjali. I'm asking Dr. Mohan Kumar, following what Dr. Blachier said about what's important, what we have to do now. Your experience, Dr. Mohan Kumar, what's it been like?
Yeah, so thank you, Sonia. And so the basic epidemiology, what Martin was saying is totally agreeable, because we have to watch for the implementation of the public health interventions and also the variants coming in and what is the capacity which we have and how we can combat. And definitely there should be a balance between handling the disease and trying to balance the economy at one side, and also getting updated and training the staff at the ground level to ensure that the science is transmitted from higher to ground level, so that they have to do an informed decision in how to implement. So remember this early January 2020 where we had the situation of COVID, and so it's like another respiratory virus. Respiratory virus is not new to India. We had H1N1, we had another avian influenza, and we even had situations like SARS and MERS in Middle East, and it's not new, but and at the same time, globally, it was not underestimated because of the amount of transmissibility it had from Wuhan to other countries. So we started failing, not only in India and most of the countries, started failing even from stopping that from importing inside the country and stopping from transmitting from one state to another state, and also percolating into the community level. So at various levels, even from the airport stoppage till the community stoppage was continuously distorted, maybe because we don't know the dynamics or it was not implemented in rigor. And also the testing capacity to identify which is the best test, which is the worst test, and RT-PCR, how much sensitivity is, and percolating it to the field level was real challenge. And somehow, with a lot of lessons, virus was teaching us continuously in the first and the second wave. And of course, with the cost of many lives and efforts of a lot of people, both the healthcare, frontline, and also the people. But the question now remains that, okay, so we learned something now. We know that there are three major things you have to do: wear mask, maintain distancing, and wash your hands, and ensure that you have vaccinated. So now our challenge is that how we are going to implement these aspects at the community level so that we have a lesser impact of the upcoming wave. Are we prepared? You are muted.
Kumar, in France, we had a situation where we had every evening, we had a press conference, every single evening. And in a lot of countries, you have that because then you're getting the information, you're getting the figures, you're getting what you need to do, what's happening around the world. And then every day, somewhere, it is something that we hear and where we're digesting this. And it's like some kind of a reassurance thing that comes in every single day to feel that, okay, we're all connected and the medical community is connected with us. So do you think that we need this as well?
So the numbers, all the numbers are available on public domain. Anybody can access. Starting every state, there was even actually study by another big magazine to understand what are the categories of information that is available in public domain across the states of the country. And almost all the information is available. It is not about the information that is to be told to the community. It is about how we implement these strategies at the community level. Say, let's take what we hear from the mask compliance. About 50% of people are wearing masks. Even among the 50%, 65% are not wearing properly. We did a similar study in, we did actually 3 rounds of mask compliance in Chennai. And we taught around 3,600 people at one cluster, and we did continuously 3 times to check the complaints. We never crossed 30%. And there was a difference between rural and urban, and there was a difference between clusters like malls, markets versus household streets, and still we are less than 50%. And mask, the gold standard public health intervention. So how we are going to ensure that we are going to wear masks and prevent the transmission at the 123 crore population? So this is one. The second is social distancing. So how we can impose the social distancing at the community level when everybody wants to go, everybody wants to earn, and everybody wants to actually live their life. It's not physically or literally possible to put everybody on lockdown on a continuous manner. They wanted to earn and eat, right? It's an income country, and we have a certain population of people who are daily wages. They wanted to handle their kids. So lockdown is a temporary stopgap for a health system to breathe in, to come out. Okay, I'm refreshed. Let's do that. So that's lockdown, and it takes a just jerk back to feel that yes, we have a little bit control now. Can we re-put our resources back to handle the situation? So lockdown is just a stopgap. But the core element of public health intervention is lying in vaccination and increasing the immunity at the community level, either by vaccination or by infection. So the current vaccination, you imagine the population in India, and we are actually the second most vaccinated country in numbers globally, but the fully vaccinated percentage is 4%. So we need 18 months from now to have at least 70% vaccination, right? How many waves we are going to face in this 18 months? Two most challenging questions we still don't know, even globally. How long this vaccine is going to be effective, both in immunization and also in infection. The longevity of immunization, vaccinated capacity of individual don't know. The second, how the variants are going to escape these protections. Now, Delta Plus, we have a little escape factor now, the current immunization strategy. And we don't know what Delta Plus comes, or some Gamma comes, Lambda comes, we don't know. So, still, there are a lot of questions we need to answer regarding the herd immunity concept. Now we have TB, there's no TB in India because we have BCG, everybody. No polio because we have polio vaccine done by more than 85%. So the virus will never transmit inside the community, because if you stand one person is infected, the people around that person is immune by some vaccine. It is a dream for COVID, as of now, I can say. So believing in vaccine as a control strategy still is not good. Believing in social distancing, not applicable. Believing in mask, we don't know how much the compliant it is. We know it's like lower compliance. So still, we are not in a comfortable position to say that, yes, we have a good control over COVID. We are still fighting. And virus is smart enough to change its shape, change its force, change its impact. Clinicians in the call might definitely tell us that, yes, first wave, it was not this much virulent. The incubation period is low. The effect is less. But now we see multi-system failure happen. Coagulation is increasing. And oxygen heat is more. The lung involvement is higher than expected. And the most important thing, which I feel, it's still a question and we don't know, is the susceptible population. We vaccinated 45 plus. Then we tried vaccinating 18 plus. Now we are left with less than 18 who are yet to be vaccinated. And is there a shift of infection from higher age group to lower age group? We don't know. Virus is going to tell us in third wave. We don't know now. But most countries are predicting it is not going to be. Some countries are definitely saying it is going to be. That is also a question mark. Let's take two examples, two countries. One, we have a good immunized country, Turkey. Turkey has nice immunization and their coverage is pretty good, 85%. Still, they had a worst week now. Bangladesh, which has not that much vaccination done, their third wave already started in peak. They had only 3 weeks gap between second and third wave. So whatever concepts, whatever hypothesis we draw out of the second wave, out of the global scenarios, we cannot fit that into Indian context because of a lot of gaps in the hypothesis which we have generated. Still, we are left with surprise what this virus is going to do. So ultimately, the solution what we can give, or a suggestion what we can give to parent to handle the surprise is, let us equip ourselves to face the worst case. So the question which was asked continuously, what is that worst case? We don't know actually. At least we prepare for the second wave peak. We had a peak at second wave. If your state is having had a peak at May 21st, and that is the worst case, let us imagine you should be comfortable enough to handle that worst case scenario in your state for the third wave. At least let us go towards that. Yeah, so I stop here and I can answer some more questions if needed. But what I say is, if you are smart enough, if the country should be smart enough, do intense surveillance. Identify the people at the earliest in the community by rapid testing. Testing is going to tell who is infected, and he is going to spread the disease to others.
Doctor, what's the difference with Kerala? Because Kerala has succeeded. We're saying we heard all these things about Kerala, you know, having put into place something that was more efficient, etc. I have Dr. Verma, who is going to be leaving us. She needs to go.
Yes. So basically, I mean, I just want to add something. I mean, very nice points. Dr. Mohan has given us a very detailed thing about how the waves have been. I just want to say one thing, you know, if after a disaster of a second wave, we have not been able to put the fear of God into everybody and make them wear the mask properly, it's most likely that they will never do it. It's not because they don't want to, they're simply incapable of. Because everybody was petrified. We had every family member had someone in their extended family who died. And if after that people are not able to wear a mask properly, that means they're simply incapable. So when you know that your population is incapable, all you need to do is vaccinate at a war footing. When you know that you have a capacity to vaccinate 80 lakh people per day, you have to aim at getting 80 lakh vaccines every day for 6 months. Then you would have vaccinated 70% of the population. If after 1 day of vaccination, you start saying congratulations and thank you and all sorts of nonsense, it's like you're just welcoming the next wave and you're just saying disaster. In a city of Gurgaon where I live, there are 40 lakh people and we are vaccinating 4,000 people per day. At this rate, even after 4 years, we will not have vaccinated adequately. We are not prepared. So, I mean, I don't know how to say it in simpler words, whether it is the politicians, whether it's the policymakers, whether it is the people who are going to put the money, bring vaccines, vaccinate people, save lives. There is nothing more to it.
Dr. Malhi, do you agree? Dr. Srivastava, do you agree?
Absolutely. Whatever she is saying, it is true. The thing is, we have increased our vaccination drive from 21st June. But still, if we continue with this pace, we can vaccinate in a good proportion till December 2021.
Yeah, absolutely, I agree there. So yeah, I feel that.
Oops, you're breaking up, Geetanjali. I can't hear you properly. Yeah, I think you're breaking up. Oops,
the thing is,
can't hear you.
Thing is, most important thing in the vaccination is door-to-door vaccination. Actually, the thing is, people are afraid of coming to the vaccination booths. So if they are not coming, we have to go to their homes, just as we do in our elections. We are going to we're doing door-to-door campaigning in the elections. Why don't we go in the vaccination for the vaccination? Because we are saving so many lives. Until and unless we will not vaccinate 70% of the world, not only India, 70% of the world, we are not safe. If the Delta variant is coming from India, now it is going to UK, France, Europe, everywhere. Until and unless we will not follow the COVID appropriate behavior, social distancing norms, and we vaccinate approximately 70% of our population, we will not win this fight. So only and only thing we have to win this fight is by doing lots vaccination. That's it. somebody's not wearing mask. I know they have some problem issues. They're not. Everybody want to go and enjoy the things. I want to go to malls, pubs, restaurants. Want to go everywhere. The thing is, if we vaccinate our population approximately 70%, till then we will not win the fight. Thing is, one very good point is surveillance, testing and tracking. These two T's are very important. If we will segregate population who is having the COVID versus non-COVID, half of the battle we have won. But
has the testing gone down now that people are thinking, there's no virus, we can open up, maybe also because the elections are coming. Every time there's elections coming, like in France, every time we've had elections, we just had elections last weekend, our testing goes down because we have to make the population feel that yes, it's safe to go out. Yes, everything is fine. Yes, you can go out and vote. So this we know it because we have it in France. Every time we've had the elections up, we've had to make people feel that it's all safe. You can go out, you can vote, you can go out, and there's no problems. And just at that particular moment, we have all the levels of cases that are very low, and so people feel there's no cases. I can go out. Or I can go and vote, no problem. Are you feeling that as well, that this is coming up? This is going to be dangerous to be playing with that, right? You're playing with fire.
Yep. Absolutely. In India, we have seen the elections in Assam, in West Bengal, in Kerala. So there are lots of cases we have seen after the elections. The thing is, people have gone to vote physically, they have went outside. The thing is, the election commissioners and the administration and the government have to think twice to go for elections in the pandemic. It is very important for the election commissioner to either they have to go for the elections by e-voting or something like that. So they have to go differently so that they can. There will be no social distance. Norms have to be followed in everywhere. They should not. The person should not go outside to vote. Better to stay at home and get their vote counted. So they have to do this type of things.
Today we had Dr. Blachier, who is an epidemiologist, leading epidemiologist in France with this whole COVID thing. But I'm also going to try to get the president of the French, COVID team, the scientific committee, Professor Delfraissy in Paris, who's been extremely wise, who's been extremely careful, who's informed the population, who forgets every time there's a wave, the population forgets Dr. Delfraissy, and we just continue doing whatever rubbish we want to do. Now, people in France have thrown away the masks because they get their first shot and then they forget the mask. And now, July, August is the vacation in France, so they're preparing the holidays. And I think that in India, you finish your vacation, right? End of June, you're finishing the vacation. So people are still careful. But in India, in France, people get one shot and they forget COVID. We've got a whole cluster of, Delta in a part of France where we never had any cases. So people are not realizing that people who were safe at any moment can, just switch and being safe no longer. Nobody's ever safe. So I think that maybe you've also you're seeing this. How bad is, if I have to compare Delhi with Chennai, Jaipur, I think that I'm hearing that Jaipur, they're pretty careful. Are they careful in Chennai as well?
Yes, better.
They're being careful?
Yes, they are.
So the rules are what, more strict? Is there,
for the
in terms of curfew, because here in France, 6 p.m. curfew time, 6 p.m. used to be 6 p.m. for months and months. It was 6 p.m. Everybody had to be home.
Here also the curfew is very strict, and we have a lot of restrictions are there, and we even levying fines, penalties, and also putting legal actions against people who are roaming about without reasons. And we also have a monitoring system to actually allow emergency people by giving some emergency pass system. And currently in the second wave, later phase of the second wave, there was an even movement of from one area to another area of a big city, they need a pass. So there was a much stricter approach in a trial basis. And of course, there are around, I can say around 60% is strict and 40% still people lose out. So the liquid medical oxygen, which can be moved from, the depots to, and convert to industrial oxygen, medical oxygen by increasing the purity, handling other, germs to be filtered off, and importing oxygen through from other countries, and redistribution. Okay, so at one stage we had oxygen somewhere, but how to reach this oxygen into hospital was a second challenge. Oxygen vehicles cannot move in a higher speed. It is 40 kilometers per hour is the maximum speed because it's an inflammable gas. It has to have a protocol of mobilization of oxygen. Okay, then somehow it reaches the hospital. Where to store them? Do we have the capacity to store enough oxygen in each hospital? Is another challenge. So then we started building oxygen tankers, B-type cylinders, putting new pipelines. And so when we all done, now the wave has reduced. But it's good to see one that at least we have some infrastructure, some planning, and because we had a better hit at the second wave, we are overestimating the third wave and trying to have a lot of preparations, which is good on one side. That's what I would say.
Right. On your side, did you imagine that the situation could be so bad, Dr. Blachier? Did you imagine that? Well, we've seen Brazil, we've seen, but did we think that it could be that, this bad in India? Did you hear something about?
My understanding of what happened in India is that everyone thought that it was over, and it's the worst situation, when you think that the pandemic is over, because if you consider the pandemic from the big picture, you can consider it's not over until everyone in your population get the vaccine, or the whole population of the country already have one infection. And for sure, it was not happening in India, because if it was happened, there was a lot of death, and we probably heard about it. So the idea that any country can protect its population from the virus until it is over 100% vaccinated people or 100% people infected once is a wrong idea. And in India, but also in Australia, also in New Zealand, also in all these countries that think that they can protect themselves from the virus, because you can close your country very, very strongly and forever. So you always have to be cautious. And when you start to think that it's over, and you didn't vaccinate all your population, you have a wrong idea. And if your people try to live as normal and the virus is still there, you have, at the beginning, it's very hidden, nothing happened. And once the exponential began to climb, it's horrible. And you can control the wave, because even in India, you control quite rapidly the wave. If you look at the curve, it's climbed very, very, very strongly, but after it's controlled, because the population have automatically controlled their behavior and try to stop social behavior, social relationship, and it's done. And there's a lot of articles that show that the population herself find a solution. stop meeting, a lot meeting, parties, and familial meeting, and so on. But the problem is that when you think it's over and you have a very big ceremony, big meeting, you have a very horrible wave, and it's not a long period, but the wave is doubling every day. So it's like it's very, very, very strong, and you can imagine that each day is stronger than the day before, and that's why it's really important to control the situation in the duration, and to continue to believe that the virus is still there until you finish the crisis. And even in France, now you know everyone thinks that it's over, because you have 40%, 50% of the population that is vaccinated. But you will see in October, in November, when the winter will come again, they will have a new wave, because it's always the same in every country. All people think that it's over, and it's not. And you try to say, but now we have a very good strategy to control the virus, because we know exactly where the virus is. But it's the problem with that virus. No one knows where it is. Because at the beginning, it's only young people with no symptoms. So, and because of climate, because of behavior, it's still quite silencious, quiet. But at the moment, because of the winter, because of big ceremonies, because of anything, you have the beginning of the wave. And we always have to consider that the risk is still here until you vaccine all your population. And even in the US, even in the UK, even in France, in Germany, in every country in the world, the risk is still here because we didn't vaccine all the population. And exactly what happened, in my opinion, in India, is when you forget the virus, it's the moment you are at the highest risk for your population.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes. So, I mean, we've obviously had quite a good vaccination program. And when I say good, I mean it's relative compared to a lot of other countries. It's still not perfect. You know, a large portion of our population has been vaccinated. However, the vaccination is not the only way in which you know, manage the pandemic. So there are quite a few things that we got very wrong. So last year, for example, you know, you could still fly into this country from Italy, northern Italy, at the peak of the pandemic there. The whole track and trace program here has been very confusing and a complete disaster. There was no policing of it, unlike in Australia and New Zealand, where, you know, when it's locked down, there was some accountability. If you were found outside for no reason, they would stop you and ask you what was going on. Here, the lockdown was basically a voluntary lockdown. If people chose to follow it, then they could. If they didn't, then there was no penalty for that. Also, they locked down too late. And both in the first and second waves, you know, it was only when the infections, you know, had reached quite a critical level that they decided to lock down. So they put economy over health. And as a result of that, ended up saving neither economy nor health. The economy is a mess. You know, we have had 130,000 deaths, which proportionately for the UK is the largest major, has the highest proportion of deaths for any sort of major country in the world. And that is shameful. And some people say it's because we're very good at counting, but still, it's very high. What has also become evident is that our governments don't learn lessons. And we're now, you know, at the beginning of the third peak here already. It's all Delta, it's all the Indian variant. And for economic reasons, they didn't stop the flights from India at the beginning, because obviously India is a very important trade partner. And as Martin said, you know, unless you have the full population vaccinated, you know, you can't assume that the virus has gone away. But they were behaving as if it had. And if you look outside, life is normal now. there are no restrictions. And in fact, they are planning to lift any remaining restrictions. There's only a few things left, such as, big concerts, big football matches, only a few things left. And yeah, wearing of masks, in shops, etc. Those remaining restrictions are going to go in the middle of July. And they've said they are not going to reconsider that, even though the infections are going up and people are being admitted. And yes, the vaccine is very effective, but it's not 100%. I mean, there are people who are still, as you know, the vaccine stops you getting seriously ill. You can still get infection. You can still pass it on to others. And there is a very small proportion that will still become seriously ill despite both doses of vaccination. It seems to be happening with the Delta variant. We have had cases of people getting very sick, going to ICU, dying, despite having both doses of the vaccine, particularly with the AZ vaccine. Schools, there's no masking in schools here. There's no ventilation, even though we know COVID is airborne. People used to say it's only droplet, but we know that that's not true, because despite full droplet precautions, I got long COVID. So many other people here in this country, so many healthcare workers became sick. We had 1,200 doctors and nurses die. I mean, that is ridiculous. And there are 122,000 of us, just healthcare workers, not talking about the population, 122,000 are off with long COVID, which is another story, by the way, because what people are looking at is COVID as a disease where either you recover or you get really sick and you die. There is this in between, which is very ugly, which is long COVID, where it affects almost any part of the body. So it's a very serious multi-system disorder. It is not just stress and fatigue. I have colleagues who have developed myocarditis and heart failure. I have colleagues who've had cerebral venous sinus thrombosis from long COVID. And as we know, it's a very procoagulant virus. People have had strokes. I've got colleagues in wheelchairs because they've got spinal cord lesions as a result of long COVID. I developed urticaria, which was so bad it would not respond to steroids or antihistamines. I had to go into immunosuppression. I'm on omalizumab now, monthly. I also have postural tachycardia syndrome, which is not a very well-known condition, but it's basically involvement of the autonomic nervous system, which means basically the moment I stand up, my heart rate goes through the roof. At times it can be 160, 170. So I can't work. I can't leave the house. I can't do anything around the house. And this is despite having, enough medication, to feed a city. So I think this is why it's so important to get this right with vaccination, with the right epidemiological measures. And the principles of epidemiology are the same in every country. For people to say, well, India is different or the UK is different, I think that's just an excuse. You have to apply the principles everywhere. Otherwise, India is going to have a massive problem with long COVID as well. And the economy and the healthcare system will not be able to cope. I mean, here, 1.1 million people have the illness. And that was the last estimate. Last week, they said it's probably 2 million. This country has 70 million people. 2 million of us, are either unable to work or have had to reduce their work. So it's so important to get the right measures in place, not to open lockdowns until the population is properly vaccinated, to use proper aerosol protection, and to accelerate vaccination. And that is what India didn't do between the first and second waves, as I'm sure you know better than I do. You had the opportunity, you were exporting the vaccine, not vaccinating your own population. I don't mean you, but the government. So I think if there's one thing I will say, that you can never be prepared enough. You have to assume the worst and prepare for the worst case scenario, because you don't want a repeat of what happened in April and May, do you? I mean, it was horrendous.
Dr. Asad, can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
How many health workers and doctors died in UK of COVID?
1,100.
That's a total of health workers, or do you know the breakup for doctors as well?
I don't know the breakdown myself, but I'm sure it will be available somewhere. But that is a total of doctors, nurses, you know, and healthcare assistants. So people who work in the health service, basically.
Because in India, we've had 1,500 doctors who have passed away, and the government does not have the data. It was asked in the parliament that how many doctors have died, and the health minister said that he has no clue. So the Indian Medical Association got the numbers from each and every state. We investigated, and we got, in the first wave, at least the ones we were able to find are 738 doctors in the first wave. And that is a time when, you know, it was a very mild disease, and most people, of course, the vaccination was not available. And the second wave, we have a number of more than 750. So the total has crossed more than 1,500, and this is only doctors. We're not talking about nurses, we're not talking about technicians, we're not talking about sanitation workers, and we're not talking about ambulance workers.
And
Right.
this is such a shame.
And so we're going to have another discussion on that. Just quickly, what's been your experience in this first two waves, especially second wave? What have you seen, and what's been your experience?
The second wave, actually, it was so rapid. In the first wave, we took example from the West, and we could slow it down. And it was a new thing. Still, we did in an exemplary fashion in the first wave by slowing down the spread of infection in India. And also simultaneously, we educated ourselves. And people, we didn't have PPE kits, and we started manufacturing, and everything was so well managed in the first wave. So it was pretty good. But then we, with lockdowns and all, we managed to contain the first wave, and we forgot about it, and we wanted to enjoy and have ceremonies, elections, and everything. And so and also we also developed vaccine after the first wave, and there was, vaccination drive, but people started, defying the vaccination, and they were saying, now it's all over, should we get vaccinated at all? And we were telling everybody that, it might come back, so you must get vaccinated. But like, people were not, even though the vaccines were available at that time, but people were not willing to go for it. There were people at the vaccination centers waiting for the public to come and get vaccinated, but people were not turning up. And after that,
due to fear, this is due to fearing that,
there were a lot of myths regarding, a lot of speculations that the vaccine will, damage it'll cause infertility, and a lot of myths were there, and people thought that now it's over, and, we can just manage now, it's gone. People never thought it'll come back. Even we almost believed it, that it will not come back. But still, we were telling people that get vaccinated, because it is really fatal. The disease is really fatal. But somehow it was foolhardy on our part that we had, elections and Kumbh Mela and wedding ceremonies, which we were dying to celebrate. India just wants to celebrate and enjoy all the time, and have, overcrowding in the markets and everything. So that led to explosive rise of second wave. And it was so just the opposite of the first wave. Even though we had more knowledge about the disease, we had the ICUs in place, we knew how to, we had the guidelines in place, and still it was so rapid that we could not cope up with it. So much so that, even the oxygen, we ran short of oxygen supplies, which is an unprecedented situation. We could not even visualize that such a thing can ever happen, that, you run short of oxygen in the hospitals. It is always in abundance. I have never witnessed this thing in such a mass scale, that we don't have oxygen. We didn't have drugs. Then there were a lot of, the mortality was a lot because of the shortage of oxygen. And also there was a shortage of important drugs. And there were, every day we were getting phone calls from, at least 20-30 people that please arrange for us oxygen beds. And even though our center is a jumbo center with 150 to 200 oxygen beds, we had to just turn them down. And it was very sad to see people just dying in the ambulance, in their vehicles, on way to the hospital. It was very, very pathetic. And it was a very helpless situation. Very helpless situation. We were targeting for not 100% saturation, oxygen saturation for our patients. We would just target for 90%. We would, because we have to keep the oxygen, we know that oxygen supply is less. So we would try to manage with, not with 15 liters of oxygen. We would try to manage with 5 liters of oxygen for our patients. So we were, rationing the oxygen like that. And it was very, very hard.
And doctors are not supposed to be in a situation where you're counting something like oxygen, right?
Absolutely.
Did you have moments where, you were breaking down, all of you, and you saw doctors just completely breaking down?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Let people hear this. Tell them about this. Give me some cases.
Yeah, like there was, one patient who was like doing pretty well, and one fine day he, I was on the round, and he was doing about 88% saturation, and one morning he had he desaturated to 28%. So quickly, we just took him off his BiPAP, and I took him on the vein circuit and started ventilating him manually, with more force, and asking him to cooperate with us and synchronize his breathing as we were, pushing the air inside his lungs. So, with his, and we kept on talking to him, encouraging him, and I knew it that, I had learned from my experience that, the patients we were taking on the ventilator were not coming out. They would just get worse. Their lungs would get solidified. They would get secondary infections. So I did not want to, go intubate him and take him on the ventilator so rapidly, So we tried to ventilate him manually, and fortunately we could get his saturation up, to 60%, which was a, big sigh of relief. And we told him, you're doing very well, keep on continuing your, synchronizing with our efforts. So he also was, trying to cooperate and not give up. And we had all the, intubation stuff ready, my laryngoscope and tube, but we were just trying to, get his saturation up without intubating him and knocking him down. For intubating, we have to knock him down with the drugs and muscle relaxants and take him on the venti. So then, suddenly he started maintaining the saturation, and after good 1 hour of struggling to maintain his saturation with the vein circuit, he started maintaining his saturation at 90%, and then we could again take him on the non-invasive ventilation, and then we were kept it track of him in on subsequent duties with my colleagues and with good antibiotics and so on. So he, and you will be very happy to know that we discharged him fit and fine 1 week back.
Ah,
Sent a thank you note to us, and he's extremely, overwhelmed, and he's very happy about it.
because it's such an important thing. It's so important to do you feel that there's a connection? They believe in their doctor, that you need to believe in your patient. I saw this. There was a quote somewhere. Somebody posted it, that to be able to give the how can you say, positive energy to your
I totally agree, Sonia. When I started talking to the patient, I said, this person, his name was Lokesh. I said, Lokesh, you're doing very well. When his saturation was 30, I said it's 50. So he's nodding his head and he's responding, and he had the energy to come back. He was just not giving up, and I could transmit my energy to him, and also to my junior doctors and my nursing staff. So they all became connected with him personally, like not just as any patient. Like we knew him as Lokesh, and we all felt so much of emotional connect with him, that everybody's efforts were enhanced, and everybody could work harder on him for his entire hospital stay. We are forgotten, and people don't take any mortality. They can't accept that it is, because of other factors. They hold the doctor very easily responsible. And that's very, heartbreaking, because we work very hard on our patients, and if the patients react in this manner, sometimes they do it, just to they don't want to pay the hospital bill, or several reasons like that. They know that the disease is the patient had very severe disease. They have enough of evidence, but still they just don't want to show that they know it, and they just try to defame the doctor and blame the doctor, because doctors are soft targets. They don't they can't retaliate in a violent fashion, and they are educated people. They remain civil, so they are very easily blamed. And there has been very violent incidents when doctors have been injured, and we have to be united for and fight for the safety of doctors. And public should realize and should not forget that how we were scared when we were doing our COVID duties. We left our families, and it was not easy. We also have families. When we come back, we are afraid that when we mix up with our old parents and children, we will transmit the disease to them. But despite of those fears, we go to the COVID ward, and we wear PPE kit, in which we cannot breathe properly. When we walk fast, we are breathless. We are sweaty inside. We cannot go for to the washroom whenever we want. It's very, very hard, but so easily people just forget, and they blame the doctors, and it doesn't feel good. It breaks our heart, and it's not very encouraging for us. And we want that people should at least be grateful, and and love their doctors, and show their gratitude in words, and kind words, and so that doctors feel good, and there's a better bond between the patients and the doctors. We love our patients, but we want that our fraternity should be respected. And that's all I have to say.
because in India we also see how close we are to our teachers, the sense of respect. We know that sense of respect. We know what that means. So going from, you know, the applause that we had worldwide with doctors last year, and to this situation where it's going to be completely, I ignore you, you can say anything you want. That is why somewhere, even the media, the population is now also against the media and saying the media is with the doctors and the doctors are with the media. And every time something is posted on Facebook, we have the first reaction with the little icons is to laugh. And somewhere I find it so hard to accept that we're laughing at everything that is announced, everything that is said, because people are tired and people are exhausted. But is that a reason to ignore what doctors are saying? Is that a reason to mock and laugh? I'm finding it so hard.
Yeah. Everybody has to be
accept.
responsible. Absolutely. People have to be everybody has to be responsible. It's,
so
you know,
what sort of a mindset do you need to have to be as strong as that?
Yeah, everybody should realize that everybody is responsible at their level, you know. We should not forget what the second wave showed us. Everybody lost their loved ones, you know, and this should not be forgotten. And it's not, the onus doesn't lie on the doctors to just treat the patient. We have to stop the third wave from coming. It's like the doctors also, we are just, you know, fed up of, you know, treating the pandemic in this way, and we have to remain away from our families, and dealing with shortage of oxygen and seeing patients die. It's very, very traumatic for us. And it is everybody at their own individual level has to be responsible, get vaccinated, and wear masks, and maintain social distancing, avoid overcrowding, you know, go for only for essential necessary shopping, and should avoid cinema halls, definitely. Should avoid going to restaurants, or they can order food at home and eat.
Right.
But enjoy parties on Zoom.
when a government doesn't come and doesn't do a press conference, doesn't give proper clarified measures, I mean rules, obligations, saying we're opening up. When we open up, we've got, I don't know how many hundreds of circulars that are open saying you can do this, you can go there, but there's this, but this is the exception, but you can do this. So there's pages and pages and hundreds of pages of what's coming up, when is it opening, but all the exceptions, etc., etc. So there's people really working on that to publish these things, updated constantly. Whereas in India, everything is just open, everything just closes, or everything just opens.
No, we are having
need to do more.
We are going in a very guarded way now, Sonia. It's not so bad, actually. We are, you know, the lockdown is opening up in a very guarded manner.
Good.
It is not so bad every time, you know, every way. And today the shops have, till now the shops were open only till 4 o'clock. And we were having a hard time because I returned from hospital at 6 o'clock. No time to do my essential shopping and all. But today, I mean, it's extended for 2 more hours. But the malls and cinema halls, they all are, restaurants, they all are closed. Gyms are closed. So that way, it's going very slow. And people are wearing masks. But those who are not wearing, they are being corrected, checked by people who are wearing. Still, there are a lot of people who are not wearing, I agree, because people are very, you know, some are stubborn, some are illiterate, and some are just foolhardy. They feel nothing will happen to them, and they are not even vaccinated. And those are the ones who are the, you know, third wave personified. We can see.
So this is a danger for everyone else, because then when it means that you got too many patients, I mean, the first people hit is the economy. If people understood that everything, all the money, there's no money if there's no health. And if we're
Absolutely.
not, the quickest way is to really get out of this. And the quickest way is that everybody puts their maximum to really get out of this, so that every shop can open, every hall can open, every mall can open. And we're taking the thing the other way around. We're like, I want to get out. And what that means, I want to get out, means I'm bringing another wave. So people need to really think how not to bring another wave, so that we can all open up. And but then at the same time, how can you keep a whole country and people for months and months under lockdown, right? It's hard, right? With all the jobs and everything.
Yeah, that's the reason basically why, people just, they get fed up of being locked at home. Even our friends, when we talk to them, we said, oh, let's meet. It's, been so long, and we are just longing to meet people, and,
To
at least when
people and meet people.
yeah, we are longing,
Yeah.
just waiting to, hug our loved ones. But everybody is just, staying wherever they are, can't travel. Life is really very hard, but
It is hard.
for better times' sake, we have to, take this step and stay disciplined for some more time to defeat the virus.
Right. Geetanjali, it's been so nice talking to you. This isn't over.
Yeah.
We're going to do more of these, because I promise you, India is going to need this. We're not being reasonable. We don't want to watch this. We watched enough videos, but people are going to need this. So we're going to do them, because everyone's going to need these.
Coming to the ICU means 50% chances of you not going back.
And when you go back, you have to explain to people what this means, because the muscles have gone, the health has gone. It's going to take what, 2 years? Let's be honest. Let's be there.
Sometimes lifelong. You can have lung fibrosis, which can affect your whole life.
So there you go. Then you're going to start something for your whole life. Be on medication, not be able to breathe properly, be affected by the pollution. Every time there's something going on, and it's hot, it's cold, you're going to just live with these things that never go away. And for people, it's like, oh, once it finishes, okay, I'm done, I get my medication. There is no medication for long COVID. There is no medication for a lot of things. And people feel, oh, we're out of this already, but we're not, we're not. Whatever the country, whatever the situation, I mean, we're not out. When France is desperately, doctors are saying, be careful. You heard Dr. Blachier say, we have warned that there will be a fourth wave. It's not even a question of the variant. It's a question of responsibility.
Are they talking about the fourth wave?
Fourth wave for us in October, November. Of course, look at people. They get one shot and they throw the masks off.
Sonia, tell me about your third wave. How bad was it?
It was bad because since Jan, they said, when we finished in November, December, they said, okay, for Christmas, let's give you a break. Everybody can go back home for Christmas. So people went back home, but everyone was still careful. Not everyone went back home. Then coming back in January, that meant that, universities, schools open again. So Jan, little by little, the fact that they opened up, everybody said in Jan, there is the UK variant, the Alpha variant. Be very careful because it's taken over the UK. All the cases, it's stronger, it's more destructive, blah, blah, blah. We in Jan had no UK cases, UK variant cases. So that the Alpha cases took over the whole of France in March. End of March, we were completely onto the UK Alpha variant. And once people saw that and saw it was just completely all over the place in March, because we did nothing, because our president knows that 1 year from now, there's the president elections, because our president said, I'm going to give you and favor all the commerce and all the businesses. And now the people who are tired to be sitting at working at home can now go back to the offices, because we allowed all that. Because we're reaching a point where with every wave, we're listening less and less and less to doctors, because we feel that we'll just go in once things get bad. We'll just rush and go in. We'll stop everything. Once we reach the critical phase and the deadline and the red line, we'll just behave and we'll just go back into lockdown. So we are living into accepting that every month we lose 10,000 lives. We're not into the zero life thing like some countries. We don't have the patience. We are totally irresponsible and we don't care. I mean, France. So, and totally indisciplined. So that's it. We've made our deal. Every country according to their behavior. Japan, soon you can do anything. Japan will never, never drop its masks. I mean, I lived in Japan. My husband did his postdoc in Japan. When you have a cold, you wear a mask. And this is like 20 years ago. So they have a discipline, sense of discipline. They care about each other. They care about one another. That's it. It's as stupid as that. It is simple as that. The moment we finish, we need to be pushed. India too needs to be pushed. We need to be kicked. We need to be pushed to go do something, you know. And we've got a government and we've got a system where everything is free. And we run after people to go tell them, please come. We're giving you the Pfizer vaccine for free. Please, begging you, please come. Who does that?
India is giving a free vaccination. Just imagine, like, it's a free vaccination for all. It's a very big thing, you know.
So I just want to thank all the doctors who were present today. It was absolutely wonderful. I'm extremely grateful to all of you. It's something extremely important for us to be doing this. I say we run a film festival. No hall is safe. No festival is safe. No one is safe till we're all safe, is what the Foreign Secretary said in the UK. And I believe this is really the word, these are the lines that everyone needs to remember, because at no point do I want to say in October that my film festival is a cluster and that I'm responsible to have, you know, taken somebody to the ICU, sent someone to hospital. It is unacceptable. And we need to really stand by all of you. And we're there. I want you to know we're going to do more of these. We're supporting you. We're going to be there. And I know it's hard and you have to hang in there, all of you. We're sending you good vibes. We're sending you lots of strength. And know that we're there. We're going to be supporting you. We do not want violence. We are not somebody big in India, but we know how to make noise. And we're going to make noise for you. I'm going to support all of you. And this is really important because it's important for me to understand what you need, how we can help you. It's really, really important. So thanks very, very much for being with me today. Okay, thank you very, very much. I'm extremely grateful.